Full Service Radio is proudly supported and hosted by Simplecast, the easiest way for a podcast creator to publish and distribute audio on the internet. For more information, visit simplecast.com.
Peace and welcome to the Edible Activist Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa L. Jones, broadcasting live from the lobby of the Line, D.C. On this show, you hear from the voices of dynamic Black people and people of color in the agriculture, food justice, and healing space as they share empowering food narratives and perspectives that stem from the land, all while exemplifying the spirit of activism in their own edible way. Let's get started. Peace. This is Melissa L. Jones with the Edible Activist Podcast, and I am with the amazing Black Suburban Homesteaders, Francois and Shanna Tiayon, and they allowed me back into their house. Okay, we have on our masks. All right, we've been taking our precautions. We were out in the garden actually. And just wanted an opportunity to catch up because they have been doing some really great things since the last time, and the last two times actually, I was in you all space. So first you all guys were in the studio over a year ago, and then I came out last year, and now I'm back again, and Francois has done some work. But one of the things that I wanted to, focus on in this very brief and informal conversation, and we'll have some content that's coming soon, y'all, because Shanna just pulled up some beats for us, and they are beautiful. But as we were talking, Shanna, you talked about rage gardening.
Yeah, gardening or planting. Yeah, rage gardening or rage planting. Yep.
And I just wanted you to speak more to that. As you all know, we're in the midst of pandemic. We're in the midst of racial tension, and there's a lot of energy, There's a lot of energy in this world, and it's negative. And, especially as Black folk, we are finding ways. We've actually always found ways to channel our energy differently. And I feel like more now, especially as a time where everyone is literally hitting the gardens and growing. I have friends who I ain't never seen pick up a tomato, plant a seed, maybe me, up until about a year or so ago, grow food. And that, not only is this therapeutic for me, but, I also just don't know what's going on with these systems right now. And I'm at home and I'm a grow.
Right,
Francois? Francois, why don't you actually go first? So how is growing been channeling your energy, in the midst of what's happening? I mean, this is what you all do. This is a lifestyle. So let me just be very clear and remind the audience, this is a lifestyle for you all. But times are definitely different than it was a year ago. Has had things just the issues are still at hand. It's just now more spotlighted and more amplified, right? So let's also be clear about that. But how is gardening and growing helped you channel all the negative energy and the negative media and everything that's around us? How's that help you to channel your energy elsewhere and being in the backyard?
Yes, as we told you maybe in our previous meetings, the gardening is most of the time our refuge. It's most of the time, but this year especially more than before, because I think we took advantage of this. Instead of just being completely indoors, that was an outlet for us to really reinvent ourselves and rechannel all the frustrations and all what's going on by gardening. And I think that was helpful in many ways, because I think it also allows us to expand our gardening, to do more things that we otherwise would have not done without the COVID and all the racial inequalities and injustice that we are dealing with today. So definitely it has been a turning point in our gardening this year. Not only we expand our home gardening, but we also did tremendously well in other community garden where we are involved. So definitely, I think some type of events, they happen in a way that and bring some change completely unexpected. And this is one of the positive aspects of the COVID for us. And also, as you all said, you know, some days you are completely down, and when you go to garden, you come out completely renewed. And that's, as you were rightly saying, it's really therapeutic when you're doing it where you're living.
Spot on. Well, earlier, or just a few moments ago, I mentioned rage planting that you were talking to me about, Shana. And we were laughing because Francois really took that and ran with it, right?
To the next level.
So just share a bit. I mean, you all should see. You'll see. Actually, go on my page and you'll see some before pictures, which are beautiful. And you'll see the after, and it's just like, whoa. But just share with us a bit about rage planting, because, like I said, y'all really went forward. But hey, it's a lot going on, and you know, being out in the dirt and being out in nature just really, it always just takes your mind off of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep and recall that our sort of impetus to get into this lifestyle was my own mental health needs that I shared in your initial podcast. That I just finished a really strenuous doctoral program, working full time, and needed something different. So I signed us up for our first community garden in Laurel, where we'll go out to in a little bit. And so it just makes sense that this continues to be a source of, or a way that we maintain our mental health. And I recently wrote an article for Food and Wine magazine on their digital space that talks about the productive ways that people can channel their rage or anger about things. And it sort of borrows from the term rage baking, which was started by a sister named Tangerine Jones. And sort of borrowing from that same sort of framework, this idea of rage planting is how do you take your rage? Because it was really like early June, the height of we just were in the garden every day planting. And I looked around and I said, we don't have anywhere to put this stuff. The beds were all planted out. The community gardens were planted out, but we kept planting. We kept doing things in the garden. And sort of borrowing from that sort of idea of rage baking, I realized that we were using the garden as a way to channel our rage. Early June was really just after sort of the apex of the George Floyd incident. But keep in mind, we had Breonna Taylor's, we had the Ahmaud Arbery's, then we had the Christian Cooper. Remember, Christian Cooper and George Floyd came really close together. It was like right within the same week. And so after that, we just really needed some sort of relief. We were dealing with the COVID-19 and managing children and businesses, and a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. And so we found that when we came to the garden, we felt better, as Francois said. And so we did more of that, a lot more than we normally would do. And before we knew it, we had planted up everything and then some. I mean, created new spaces. My husband took a almost $200 tire and turned that into a planter. He was going to the community gardens and getting abandoned plastic bins. Oh, this can be used for a planter. And we planted that. I mean, everything was open to us as long as we could continue to plant and grow things. And so it's been really helpful. Black people have a long history of gardening and especially cooperatively as a way to combat frustration with their treatment and their inequality. You have Fannie Lou Hamer, who started the big gardening cooperative. And so it's a long tradition of this. So I think people who are gravitating to it now is, especially if you're a person, if you're African American or Black person, it's hard baked in your DNA probably. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And just back to your point of especially as a mom, a wife, and business owner, dad, husband, managing the garden, managing the kids,
managing my mind,
your mind,
my own mind,
your business, your work. It's a lot.
Oh, tell me about it.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And to do all of that and be confined, you know, to your home. And I know that you all have 2 other sites that you're able to go out to. But it's finding ways to just, you know, channel all of that energy elsewhere. And there's no better place than in the backyard and in the soil. And like you said, shortly after George Floyd, it was thick. It was a very thick and heavy time. You know, very. And I just remember, I don't remember the last time I had so much rage inside of me, and I was so sad and I was so depressed. You know, and you would think that George was you know, in my bloodline, in our bloodline. But this was a brother and a sister and another brother, and so just finding but then also seeing, you know, my peers, my friends who I grew up with, and they're in the garden, even in the midst of this, and just, you know, finding ways to just be more creative, but also finding ways to just create their own systems for themselves, you know, even if that was just an act of political warfare for themselves. It was great to see that, but and so that's just to your point, Francois, like these things happen and it's unfortunate, right? In the sense that we still haven't come to justice for a lot of things that have happened. But on the flip side of that, it has exposed the greater need for, you know, to address mental health, you know, to address the food systems that have always been jacked from the start, and how we reconstruct it and how we build our own. And it's just amplified the issues even more. So I appreciate it. And I will say, and I was laughing with Shanna and Francois, they got more tomatoes than I have ever witnessed, okay?
And that's just like a fraction of them. Like I've canned no less than 20 quarts already. 20 quarts.
Almost,
oh my.
6-7 months.
Yeah. I've canned 20 quarts, and we've got tomatoes in all the locations. Like we use a lot of tomatoes. Like Francois from Cameroon. So what isn't in? What is tomatoes not in? You know, in most of the dishes we make. So.
I love it.
Yeah.
We try to be strategic also in what we grow, because we look in our house and we ask ourselves, what do we use the most in this house? And we realize that tomato is one of the things that we use profusely. So that's why you see tomato almost everywhere. I think it's a dominant plant, but we as I told you, we also like companion planting, because companion planting is beneficial even from science perspective. It's already proven that sometimes even companion planting helps to fight some disease, some pest. So we tried that, and I think that with the tomato harvest, especially this year, we are really hoping to have enough reserve for more than a year, for almost close to a year.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
We'll see. We use a lot of tomatoes.
We have a lot of.
So we'll see how far we go.
Are the kids tomato fans?
Yeah, they like tomato-based stuff, and McKenna likes to eat them from the vine and stuff. And so they like tomatoes.
We use it in different ways.
Wow. All right. So my last question around this all along. So how's it been with the kids being home like 24/7? Shanna, did you roll your eyes? Shanna just rolled her eyes, guys. You can't see. How has that been, pulling them out in the garden? You know, or how often do you pull them out in the garden? What is the response? And
I'll let you go first with that one.
No, I think it's very challenging, especially what you have to deal with. We have to find a compromise between the need of producing work, the need of being a professional, especially for her, and the need to take care of children who are obliged or forced to be at home because of the COVID.
Yeah.
So we have to find a compromise on how to deal with this situation. It's very frustrating, especially having all your kids at home and you have to be dealing with them plus other challenges that you have at hand. But I think one way has been, I said, to come up with a compromise. Why, for example, I'm the main person looking after kids, especially the toddler, and trying to make sure that she doesn't interfere in a working space. At the same time, monitoring the gardens and dealing with other things that are remaining. So we have been dealing with that, and thanks God, especially for her, she like outdoors. She loves gardening. She knows almost most of the plants that we have already.
And she can identify them.
And
She
she
knows
had,
tomatoes. She knows.
and one interesting thing in that is that she planted a corn. It was at first a school activity with the online activity since March. She planted a corn. She saw it growing, and she harvested, and she ate it. I have the picture of all this. I will document that and make sure that
Yes, you
she can
need
see.
to.
She can see the steps, and at the same time, she's learning. She's learning how the cycle of a plant. She knows that now. And that's something very interesting. Not only in terms of her knowledge, but also in terms of her mental well-being.
Yes.
She loves to be outdoor and playing and looking at the plant and observe things as they evolve.
And picking up the bugs too, right?
Yeah, oh, she loves them. She'll pick up a beetle. Ladybugs are her favorite. And no, earthworms are her favorite. We look for the biggest and the fattest and the juiciest. And that's the one she wants to pick up and hold in her hand and look at them and love them. I say, I'm going to put them back in the soil, McKenna. But she's not afraid of any bug whatsoever. She loves it. She loves it. And the kids have gotten out more, I think, this season because they're at home. Because at one of the community gardens, for example, in Laurel, we have to do community hours. And so, like, where everyone contributes to the common areas. And so Francois has taken the kids more to participate in that.
Oh, nice.
To help with the community hours. My son, Jonathan, my youngest son, Jonathan, he's 14. And whereas camps and violin would keep him occupied during the summer, he's gotten out more to help his older brother and dad with turning the compost, doing different gardening tasks. I think they've gotten much more involved this summer because of the COVID, because they're at home. And it's a way for them to get outside and change things up. But it's hard. It's a lot to sort of juggle and manage. But one thing that's been nice, I feel really justified, because the two businesses that we have are really coming into sort of relief that people are seeing the importance. Like my own business is focuses on mental health or employee well-being in the corporate space. Corporations are scrambling now trying to figure out how to take care of their people from that perspective.
Yes.
And then we have Black Suburban Homestead, which is focused on sustainability, living your values, growing your own food, and we are seeing how the food supply chain is breaking down. Like, you go to the grocery store now, you might get what you want. You might just have to take what they have.
Absolutely.
Because the supply chain isn't working.
Yep.
But when you grow your own, you have a little more control over that, right? And so the two things that we did pre-COVID are now what I think a lot of people are turning to now in light of this sort of pandemic. So that has been really gratifying from that perspective.
That's a beautiful thing. And I just love to see that you all, the Black Suburban Homestead, like I love what you all document. I love to just see it, and it just brings me so much joy. I mean, I don't have a family, but just how you all are inspiring other Black families with kids, whole families, tribes.
Yeah, just
right?
do it. Just try it.
Just do it. Just do it. I love it. So where can they find you at online and on Instagram? Because y'all need to follow them.
Yeah. So Instagram is at Black _ Suburban.
It's okay. Everything.
Okay, let me start with the website. The website,
like,
I know,
is
blacksuburbanhomestead.com. That's the website, blacksuburbanhomestead.com. The Instagram is black_suburban_homestead.
Boom.
That's what we are, yeah.
And if you can't find them that way, just hit me up on Instagram at Food Talks the letter in color. Okay?
Yeah, go to Melissa. She'll tell you where we are in case I botched that up, which I might have. It's COVID, y'all. Anything is possible.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you all for inviting me back to your home. It's
always
a pleasure.
This is a great distraction.
And they pulled the okra for me. Y'all know how I feel about okra. It just made my day.
Yeah, let's go to Laurel. There's probably some more there, like some that y'all can take back. You got to take. That's the thing about the black farm or the black family. You can't like come and not eat or drink something
Right.
and go back. It's almost like an insult. You got to take something with you.
It's like going to the barbecue and walking away with a plate and a red cup.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how we roll.
All right, peace, y'all.
Thanks for tuning in. You can catch today's episode on fullserviceradio.org as well as iTunes and Spotify. Be sure to follow Food Talks in Color, that's just the letter N, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for all updates. Are you an edible activist? Sure you are. Come join me on the show. Just shoot me a DM on the gram or connect with me at foodtalksincolor.com. And if you're interested in sponsoring this podcast, let's connect. Peace and blessings. And remember, in the words of Baba Tariq Adunu, there is no culture without agriculture.
Thanks for listening to this program on Full Service Radio, broadcasting and recording from the Line Hotel in Adams Morgan, Washington, D.C. Full Service Radio programming can be accessed live and archived on fullserviceradio.org. Our talk programming is available on most podcast apps like iTunes and Stitcher, and our DJ sets are available on mixcloud.com/fullserviceradio. Full Service Radio features over 30 weekly shows and over 50 local hosts covering every topic imaginable. If you want to be a guest or get involved, email us at info@fullserviceradio.org. Follow us on Twitter at FullServiceRDO, on Instagram and Facebook at Full Service Radio. Thanks for listening.